Everybody, welcome back to the Charger build, and what I want to show you today is the QA1 front suspension I got for my car. So there's a couple different companies that make suspensions for B bodies and A bodies and E bodies. These will all fit with some minor modifications and additional parts. This is from QA1. This is the complete front suspension with coilover shocks. I have the single adjustable shock. They make dual adjustable shocks for independent rebound and compression. Those are more really set up for drag racing. They recommend the single adjustment shock for street driving, and with every click of the adjustment, it automatically adjusts the rebound and the compression at the same time in uniform with each other to keep it on a steady graph. So this here replaces the K member under the Charger. It's got the rack and pinion steering. This is Mustang 2 suspension as far as the spindles and the rack. One of the problems I'm having right now, if you watch the first video, is that the drag link is actually running on the bottom of the oil pan. It's got the stock rubber engine mounts, which I'm sure doesn't help. The car's been lowered with the torsion bars. I raised it up some, hoping to get a little bit of a gap between the two. I got a little, but not enough to clear. I was planning on changing it anyway, so it's not really an issue with me right now. The QA1 instructions, right here, pretty basic to follow. Anybody that can read and use a hand tool can do this. The instructions include the part numbers for the rack for the 6AN fittings, so you can run hoses with 6AN fittings on them instead of rubber or the traditional hard line with the rubber ends fittings that go in here. It also gives me a part number for the fitting that goes on the power steering pump. So one of the things about this rack is you can't use like a modern power steering pump from like a 5.7, 6.0, 6.2 Gen 3 Hemi. Too much pressure will blow the seals out of this rack. And what they do recommend is just a standard Saginaw pump, which is what I'm going to use. There's no power steering on the car at all. So one of the other things too is on a B body, you have rack extensions, 4-inch rack extensions. It's a solid steel block that's threaded on both ends. You take the boots off, you adjust the rack out. I put it in a vise with 2 pieces of wood on each side so I didn't tear up the gear or the smooth side, because you don't want, it'll tear up the seals when it goes back and forth if you gouge that. So I knock them off, I put the extensions on, and from end to end, I think it's in the book, it's like 94.2 inches, and if it's any longer than that, you need to cut the ends off. Mine was exactly 94.2, so you run those all the way in until the threads hit with red Loctite, tighten them down, and then you put your tie rod ends on. So the kit was pretty complete. You can order it with or without the sway bar. This is the heavy duty front sway bar that I opted for. Everything has grease zerk fittings on it. And if you're familiar with Mopars, you know that the front suspension does not come with lower A-arms. It's a single arm, and then it's got a forward control arm. The problem with that is if you drive these cars aggressively and you put that front end into a turn, the steering geometry will change. It's inevitable, especially with 55-year-old rubber bushings in there. It's just not a good design, especially by today's standards. They do give you the option of engine mounts. You can go small block, big block, or Gen 3 Hemi. These are the mounts. This will provide a lot less deflection than the rubber mounts. They come with poly bushings and a steel insert. They go right here, and then you can bolt your engine on. So my plan is to drop the original K-frame with the suspension and the engine and transmission. I'm going to jack up the car, make sure everything's disconnected, take the wheels off, lower the car onto like a pallet with casters, undo the 4 bolts here, lift the front end up with an engine hoist by the frame horns, and that'll give me enough room to slide it out with the wheels. One of the reasons I'm doing that is because there's a few things I want to do to the engine. I'm going to put a roller cam in it. I have the fuel injected 6-pack set up, which I would like to get all on there while the engine's on a stand. And since I'm not dropping it in from above with a crane, I'm putting it in from the bottom, I can have all that set up on it, and I don't need to worry about having to install stuff after it's in. And with these big long cars and long front ends and overhangs on the fenders, it's hard to get into the engine compartment. So that'll save me a lot of time. These are the control arms for the top. These are specific. There's left and right. The lower control arms are identical. You can use them on either side. They come with hind joints, poly bushings, which I did use Energy Suspension's poly grease on. I use that on the Corvette. It gets rid of the squeaking and provides a little bit of lubricity. The sway bar has grease zerks on it, and they just recommend heavy duty. Like I used red bearing grease on that. You don't use anything on the end links. So what I did here is I left the end links loose because you need to adjust that and tighten them up with the car on the ground with all its weight. The tie rod ends are loose as well. What they do offer is these spacer bushings for the tie rod ends. If you're going to run 15-inch wheels like that are on the car now, you can take these top 4 out. I'm going to run 17s, and 17s are larger. You put all of these in, and then you'll keep your steering geometry intact. So the QA1 adjustable shocks, they have an adjustable ring on there. They come with flat needle bearings and stainless steel plates, so you have like a needle bearing sandwich. So when you go to adjust these, it's a lot easier. You need to do it with the weight off the car so that it's a lot easier. They give you 2 spanner wrenches that hooks up to a 3/8 drive ratchet. And it does not have a locking collar like the majority of the shocks and even a lot of the QA1 shocks have. What it has is a set screw, and there's 4 holes drilled in there that are threaded for the set screw. So obviously if it's in the back, it's going to be hard to get to. You can take it out, move it, or put an additional one in, and then you can adjust your ride height accordingly. So that'll all be done with the weight on the car. So I didn't show assembling it because it's long and tedious, and I'd rather just tell you about it than have you watch me put it together. Again, it was nothing special. It did come with new boots, and the new boot came with a large diameter rubber piece, and that's because this end of the rack is bigger than this end of the rack. So the boots that were on there, this one's bigger and this one's smaller. These boots are the same size. They have a drain vent underneath in case you get any water or moisture in here. It'll drain out the bottom. You need to make sure that's on the bottom. And that other boot slides over here, and then this boot slides onto it. So you can see that I have 1 steel band strap over here and 2 over here. One holding that rubber piece on, which shouldn't move anyway, and then the other one holding the boot onto it. So I said earlier, these are Mustang 2 spindles, and QA1 works with Willwood, and I ordered the Willwood 6-piston caliper front brake set with 12-inch diameter rotors, which is the reason that I'm going to run 17-inch wheels. The car has 4-wheel disc on it already. They're SSBC, and there's nothing wrong with those brakes. And in hindsight, I thought about just leaving it, but I wasn't really sure if they would work with these spindles. I would have to do a whole bunch of research, contact SSBC, see if they have additional brackets that'll work. And as much as I like the Steelies with the purple paint, it looks really cool. It's really retro 70. I did want to run the 17s. I don't want to run anything bigger. I'm going to use the year 1 rallies, 17 by 8 and 17 by 9 in the rear. So because I'm doing that and I know the Willwood kit will fit, I just went ahead and got the Willwood kit. Obviously, it's not going to be installed until it's in and I have the upper control arms on. But yeah, it was a great kit. It was fairly expensive, but you know, you're going to improve the handling and the ride quality of the car a ton. I had previously ordered the 4-link for the rear, which I'm not going to use because I stated earlier in the first video that the exhaust and the fuel lines and brake lines have been moved around and the pipes are so big that it's in the way of the crossbar for the links. I don't really need it. What I did do was order a brand new set of Scat Pack leaf springs, 6 and 7 for the rear, and I did order a set of single adjustable QA1 shocks for the rear. So when I get the leafs, I can throw those in, throw the shocks in, rear end's done. I would like to look into the rear leaf spring sliders. I'm not sure, but I believe that they just weld to the bottom of the frame rail where the shackle is perched. And then when your leaf compresses, instead of swinging the shackles and you get a lot of side-to-side deflection, it'll slide that leaf back and forth to the rear. I do want to source a rear sway bar for the car for a Dana 60. This has none. But with all of this and with the new stuff I'm going to put in the back, it'll ride much better, it'll handle much better, and I kind of want a little bit better of a stance. These have the 6 and 7 Scat Pack leaf springs on it now, and as you can see, the rear is just covering the top of the tire, and I'm not a fan of that. I like these cars a little bit jacked up, personal preference, and the front end is above the tire because it was too low before. Got the header collectors underneath there. I don't want those dragging, and I just don't like these cars that low. I mean, that's just me. That's what I like. So hopefully the new leaf springs will raise that up a bit, and I can adjust the shocks to stiffen up the compression, and it won't sit down. I'm not looking for this thing like really up in the air, just a little bit above the tire than it is above the front. So hopefully that will help. So this is going to sit here covered up in plastic until I can get the drivetrain out with the K-frame. If you're interested in the K-frame, I will be selling it. It has all brand new suspension on it. It's got brand new control arms, it's got brand new ball joints, it's got brand new everything on it. So it does have a sway bar, an oversized sway bar on it. I'm not even going to disassemble anything. I'm pulling it out. I'm going to undo the upper control arms and just drop the whole thing out. I'll put it on a pallet, and if somebody wants it, they can purchase it. I will not ship. But yeah, everything that I'm going to be taking off this car is going to be for sale because I won't be using it, and I don't want to save it. So when I do the engine drop, I'll go ahead and record another video of getting it all back in together with this. My plan is when the engine's on the engine stand and I got the cam done and fuel injection setups on, I'm hoping that my neighbor and I can lift this up around the engine on the engine stand and get it bolted on. And I have an engine hoist, I have an overhead crane, and then we can put some nylon straps on it to get it off the engine stand, put the transmission on it, and then get it back on the crate with the casters, and then we can roll it back underneath the car, just lower the car back on it, put the rear trans mount in, and it's mounted. So I was going to do this last, but one of the reasons I'm going to do it now is because I'm going to rewire the whole car. And at first I thought I'll rewire it with a motor ring, get it running, make sure everything works. And then I thought, but then I have to take everything apart and unhook everything, and I risk damaging the new wiring harness, doing all of this. And I thought I might as well just do it while it's out. I have other things that'll help with the engine and transmission out, and it'll just be a lot easier for me. I really wanted to drive the car this summer, but it's just not going to happen. It'll be easier for me in the long run to do everything as much as I can at one time and try to get this wrapped up. I don't want this to be a long drawn out project. I mean, it's probably going to take me a year or so anyway with all I have going on, but that's where I stand now. So stay tuned in, go ahead and subscribe, and follow us along on this project. Thanks.